Hey folks, if you are working ahead, or perhaps it's now the week of April 13, here's some maybe helpful information for you. Sometimes folks don't read this assignment terribly well, so it's the Excel macro assignment. Let's go in and just take a look at this. Okay, so read through all these instructions here as carefully as you can. And there's only one thing that I want you to submit for this particular assignment. So I want you to look through the PowerPoint and I want you to look through the PDF, but there's nothing for you to submit for those. Okay, so it's just a chapter. So take a look at that, and I think that it's important that you, especially if you don't understand how to use Visual Basic for applications within Excel, this will give you probably enough information. You could probably skip this if you wanted to go watch some YouTube videos about using VBA within Excel. Again, some of you already have some experience with this. This step is the only one that you actually need to complete. So it's the very, I think it's the last assignment on number 4. So I'll show you this here. I'm going to take you through the whole thing. This is rare. Most students will not use these, but if you're looking for additional data files to step through the tutorials, you should be able to find them here. Okay, so let's actually just see if this works. And here are all of the other elements that you can use to complete those. So those are the starter data files that you could use for completing all of the assignments. But you don't need to do that for the purposes of this class. That's mostly for your information. There is a lot of information there that could be really helpful. So if you find an activity that you want to maybe poke at a little bit more, that's where you can find all those data files. So there you have it. Okay, so for the remainder of this assignment, though, this is the PDF file. So if I open that up, just pull it open this way. So this is the module M, and if you notice, there's 28 pages to it. So this last question is the one that you're going to answer for this particular class. Okay? But read through the rest of the PDF, because I think that there's some really interesting things that are located in here, especially if you are going to be working within a job that's going to require some of this sort of stuff. Knowing the basics of the Visual Basic editor is probably a pretty important thing. There's some jobs that are going to require that you have a little bit of experience with this. So look through these things. If you end up having to take a basic competency test on Excel, some of that stuff might actually be included there. So then the other parts here, let me skip the XLS file for now. This is where the PowerPoint is located, so if you want to take a look at that. And this PowerPoint's pretty thorough, but it's mostly for the entire, let me just actually make this full screen so you can see it. So this goes through all the details of this particular activity, VBA. You're going to see this again in the future. It's really worth kind of refreshing your mind about that. And then the last part here, this is this XLMM grades, and I left it kind of that weird name because that's what it's referencing back here. Okay, so this PDF asks you, you're the teaching assistant for the information technology department. One of the professors has asked you to review a grading spreadsheet for him and write a macro function. That's really important. That word, those two words get lost for most folks. And then that'll take a numerical score for each student. So he's going to give you the score, and then that grading scale will be as follows. So he wants you to write a macro that includes a select case statement. So you know it's a macro function, and he's asking you for a select case approach. He's provided you with some mocked up data to use as a prototype, since giving you real grades is considered unethical. Okay, so that's enough information. You do this all the time. So the questions you need to start asking yourself is, do you have enough information to be able to write this program? So this is a program you're going to be writing. And the answer is kind of not really, because there's a lot of questions that are left out of this. So he's giving you a numerical range of 90 to 100, but he doesn't tell you at all if there's potentially decimal scores. So in other words, not whole numbers. So if somebody gets an 89.9899999, is that a possible score? Should you be rounding to the next whole number? Can a person earn a score higher than 100, which is pretty typical, because that's one of the questions I would quickly ask being a teacher. The other question I would ask is, can you earn a negative score? Because apparently, according to this particular table, you can get below a 0. And is that possible? So all those sorts of questions should present you with well, not answers, but it should affect or impact how you code your work. So for example, does somebody who gets a 1025 earn a letter grade of A, or is that considered an error? If somebody gets a negative score of 65, do they still get an F, or do they get something else? Think about yourself, have you ever earned a negative score on an assignment? That's pretty weird and unusual, and it doesn't seem to me like that would be a normal circumstance. So those are the sorts of scenarios that you want to be able to capture. And sometimes when you're programming like this, you want to be able to help ask more questions. So this is enough to get you started, but in order to actually get further down the line, it's going to need some more work. So he's giving you some information so that you can use this as a prototype. Okay, so we will create a program which will come close to doing what is stated up here, but you really don't have enough information. So there's going to be some follow-up questions we'll need to ask, and you'll just need to highlight those in your program. Okay, let's go back to this. And here's the XLMM grades. You download it that way. Okay, we'll save it somewhere. In fact, I'm going to put it somewhere else because it's kind of a garbage thing. Here's my XLMM grades. I open this up, and what you're going to find is they've given you grades which are basically all going to be 100s. Not very helpful. So you might need to change some of these to be able to get better idea how your program's going to work. Okay, those are all scores, and you can see there's no decimals in this prototype data, so you may want to add some of those yourself just to test your cases. Okay, so now last thing that I want to show you here is I'm going to no, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry about that. Here's our student view. Sorry. Come down here. I forget where it was. There's helpful videos for this assignment. So you should really look at these. If you come in here, here's my YouTube playlist. And you've seen a whole bunch of these already. So these are just files videos that you can use to complete these assignments. So there's the Excel tutorials that I've talked about quite a bit. Google Response Forms, file demos, help with Module M, creating an Excel macro function. And then there's probably some more down here at the bottom. Maybe not. Maybe I've removed them. But you can kind of see that there's a lot of stuff that's in here. There's a calculate a letter grade using VBA. That's actually pretty helpful. Here's the help with the Module M. It's about 5 minutes. I don't give you all of the answers, and that's going to be really important for you to remember is this particular walkthrough, I'm giving you kind of a different representation here, but this would probably be the right way to approach this. So take a look at this video, and then to actually complete it, you're going to, I don't give you the entire answer in this, but I do help you get moving with it. You could check out one of the other video that's in there, but this gets you on the road to getting that macro completed. So definitely watch this video, this help with Module M, creating an Excel macro function. Okay, great. Well, if you have questions, let me know. Hopefully this is helpful. Keep moving on. Thanks, everyone.